There are some fast-moving and potentially major developments concerning the war in Ukraine, because after more than 8 hours of talks between the United States and Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia, Ukraine has agreed to the terms for a 30-day ceasefire. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and Ukrainian officials you can all see at the table. Not at the table, any officials from Russia. And the world, including the American president right now, is waiting to hear what Vladimir Putin is going to do.
I think it's a big difference between the last visit you saw at the Oval Office and this. So that's a total ceasefire. Ukraine has agreed to it, and hopefully Russia will agree to it. We're going to meet with them later on today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to wipe out a deal. But I think the ceasefire is very important. If we can get Russia to do it, that'll be great. If we can't, we just keep going on and people are going to get killed.
My source tonight just got back from Ukraine. The Democratic senator from Arizona, Mark Kelly, is here. And Senator, it's great to have you. As someone who just got back and was on the ground, what are your takeaways about a 30-day ceasefire and whether or not that is something that you think will be realistic?
Well, it would be a really positive outcome from the meeting in Saudi Arabia. I will say I don't think we needed to be here with this reset. What happened last week or 2 weeks ago now in the Oval Office put us in a really bad place from a negotiating standpoint, giving away NATO membership, giving away territory before the negotiations started is not where you want to be walking into a negotiation, and then cutting off weapons to the Ukrainians and cutting off their intelligence. We spoke a lot about that when I was there over the weekend, talking to F-16 pilots, talking to some military commanders about the impact that that had. So that all was very unproductive. Now we're back to a good place, and I hope that we can get the Russians to agree to this. We don't know if they will, but I think folks need to keep in mind that they have broken ceasefires before, and we're going to have to hold them to it. So there should be provisions in there for us to do that.
Does it help strengthen Ukraine's hand, which I know you've been worried about, since they did restart the sharing intelligence and also the military weapons as well, the military aid?
Does it strengthen their hand? I think it does now, but they lost something over these days. So when I was there, we talked about, I met with F-16 pilots, and they didn't have the overhead imagery that they need. They didn't have the entire picture of certain things that are very important when you're planning a strike that was taken away from them. There were because of intelligence that they did not have, it was harder for them to react to ballistic and cruise missile attacks. So those things have an impact. We don't know for sure if additional Ukrainians died because of this, but it is possible.
Yeah. The one thing with this happening and the movement here, and I know one thing you'd been concerned about is Ukraine having to give up land. Secretary Rubio said that realistically they do believe Ukraine will have to give up. It will go to pre-2014 borders when Russia went into Crimea and illegally annexed it. But on this situation overall, Trump has argued that you have to at least talk to Putin to try to get to the table here. Do you believe that that is helpful, given there weren't conversations between Biden and President Putin after Russia invaded?
Well, of course, at some point you have to talk to him. But I always think we should want to negotiate from a position of strength, not weakness. Giving stuff up early just shows that we're weak. I think the president thought he was, showing some strength when they were in the Oval Office bullying Zelensky. That was not productive. That's not who we are as a country. This stuff should not be done in front of a camera. But I think right where we are right now, I think Mike Waltz and Marco Rubio made some progress. Let's try to continue the progress. Let's not blow things up again. Let's not go back and I mean, who knows what could happen, but we don't need to stop the weapons support and the intelligence. That would be a mistake to go down that road again. I mean, you see this with tariffs, right?
Yeah.
Bouncing back and forth all over the place. Let's be consistent.
Remarkable to hear you say, though, that you're at least hopeful about where these talks could go. We'll see, obviously, how Russia responds. When you got back from Ukraine, you posted about your trip, an incredibly lengthy thread that everyone should read, I think, just of what it was like on the ground. Yeah. Elon Musk responded by calling you a traitor.
He did. What? Well, that
You're
was
a combat veteran.
That was kind of my reaction when I was flying over Iraq, getting shot at, or flying in the space shuttle. Never once for a second did I think somewhere down the road somebody's going to call me a traitor. But Caitlin, this isn't really about me and what I'm really
not just
concerned.
somebody.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a guy with a lot of power, a lot of influence over this government. I think it says a lot about him. It says much more about him than it does about me. But what really concerns me is veterans that he is firing without cause from the government. These are public servants. I had a disabled veteran in my office the other day that had recently received an excellent performance report. And 3 weeks later, Elon Musk fires him through an email because of poor performance. That's wrong. That's not fair. Fired him without cause. It has ruined his life. And there are 6,000 veterans just like him.
We also saw Todd Young and Lindsey Graham pushed back on what Elon Musk had to say, calling you a traitor. Are you surprised that you haven't heard from more Senate Republicans, more of your colleagues?
I've heard from him in the Armed Services Committee in the ante room today.
What did they say to you?
Well, we're kind of joking about it. People are. I got to be careful what I say, in public about what my Republican colleagues say. But we were talking about what he said about me, and it was. It would have been interesting for you to watch if you were in there.
Why? Because they were essentially,
well,
I mean, without naming them.
We get along very
love if you
well.
named them, but if-
I've got very good relationships with my Republican colleagues. And I would say they don't like this kind of behavior.
The Senate Republicans don't like Elon Musk calling you a traitor.
There are a number of them that came up to me to talk to me about this. And yeah, of course, they're not happy with
But
this.
they didn't say anything
I mean, this
publicly.
guy has a very powerful job in the United States government. He's got tremendous influence. After the president, I don't think there's somebody with more influence right now over the federal government than Elon Musk. And he's wasting his time on Twitter, insulting people, insulting veterans, calling me a traitor, calling other people's names. Is this a serious person? I don't think he is. So why do you give him this influence? And by the way, I think it's really important for the American people to know that the reason he's doing all this, the reason he's firing all these people, is so he can create some room so when they give this big giant tax cuts to billionaires, it doesn't add as much money to the deficit and the debt as it would otherwise. That's why he's doing this.
Speaking of what's happening on Capitol Hill, at least 8 senators, Democrats, are going to be needed to pass this funding bill that just passed the House tonight with House Republicans. Are you going to vote yes on that?
I'm decided. There aren't good options here.
Which way are you leaning?
I'm not. So I haven't decided. Shutting down the government is bad. A CR, a year-long CR, ceding all this influence to the White House, this CR that was done just by Republicans. Usually this is done in a bipartisan way, a continuing resolution. We work together on it. This is just Republicans. This gives more power to the White House.
So it'll be hard
and by
for you
the
to
way,
vote for it.
I haven't made a decision yet. But by the way, a CR is also bad in general for the Department of Defense. But shutting down the government is bad for so many people that are going to be laid off. And then they're already shutting down parts of the government. So if it shuts down, what is Elon Musk going to allow to open back up? That's a big concern of mine. How many more veterans is Elon and this administration going to fire? So there's not a good option here.
We'll see which one you decide. Senator Mark Kelly, thank you for your time and for your service.
You will see.
Really appreciate you.